All right. Hey, YouTube. Hold on. Let me get Facebook online here. Going live in one. Boom. Live. Yeah, it looks a little bit different today. I'm by myself. So, hey, bear with me here. All right. Get this show underway. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Armchair Analysts. Happy Wednesday. Happy Super Wildcard Weekend. Officially in the books. And yeah, it's just me today. There's no Zach to introduce right now. He is caught up with the paper. He does work for the newspaper, doing very important journalistic things. So he might be popping in a little bit late. But for now, you're stuck with me, the host, Tim. I don't know if I've ever actually said my name on air before, but hey, here we are. So yeah, Super Wildcard Weekend is officially in the books. And I want to start off by saying there were some dog fights, DAWG dog fights over the weekend. Very exciting games. Unfortunately, only a couple of upsets. I mean, like in the standings, there was one big one that I'll get to, Tampa Bay, as division leaders losing. In my opinion, not an upset. Everyone thought that the Cowboys were going to win, except Stephen A. Smith. If you watched any ESPN, he was making a jerk of himself. But that's what he gets paid to do, is be a jerk. And he did it well. And he did it to the right fan base, too. Cowboys deserve people to be jerks to them. Here's what we're left with after Super Wildcard Weekend. In the NFC, we have the Eagles, number one seed. Obviously, they didn't play. We have the 49ers, number two seed, who beat the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday. The Cowboys, who beat the Bucks, as previously mentioned, on Monday. And the Giants, who beat the Vikings, also on Sunday. And that one's kind of a coin flip in my head of whether that was an upset or not. Again, in the standings, it's an upset, but performance-wise, we'll see. So that means the Vikings, Buccaneers, and Seahawks have been eliminated. Their season's over. Good night. Go home. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We'll see you next year. So that's the NFC. In the AFC, we have number one seed, the Chiefs, did not play this weekend. Number two seed, the Bills. Yeah, they won. Everyone kind of thought they were, but man, it was a fight. Oh man, these lights are terrible. So yeah, everyone thought they were going to win, but boy, it was a fight. I can't wait to dive into it a little bit deeper. Bengals, number three seed. Bengals win over the Ravens. Bittersweet moment because I don't like either team. I wish they could have both lost and both been eliminated, but unfortunately, one of them had to win, and it was the Bengals. So whatever. Hey, it was still, again, it was a good fight. And then number four, the Jaguars. Number four seed, the Jaguars. Nobody thought this team was going to win against the Chargers. And again, can't wait to look a little bit deeper into it. But this one was actually an upset, which is funny because, again, Jaguars are the divisional leaders at the four seed. So that means the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Dolphins have all been eliminated. Good night, go home. We'll see you next year. And I got to say, out of all of the teams that are left, this looks about right. Again, there's a couple outliers like the Giants, the Jaguars, not that the Giants don't deserve to be there, not that the Jaguars don't deserve to be there, but nobody thought they were going to be here after it's all said and done. So let me see. Let me scroll through here first. Just real quick. So I decided last week that I was going to start keeping track of Zach and my playoff picks. We were going to, each pick the games, and then I was going to keep track of who's right about what and who was wrong. So just want to say we were both right that the 49ers were going to win. We were both wrong that the Chargers were going to win. All right, that's an L. We were both right that the Bills were going to win. We were both right the Giants were going to win. We were both right the Bengals were going to win, except I went against my better judgment as a Steelers fan, and I picked the Cowboys to beat the Buccaneers. He went with the Bucks and Tom Brady, so that leaves us with me sitting at 5-1, and Zach's sitting at a measly 4-2. But there's still plenty of football left, so he could probably catch up if I follow my heart instead of my brain. Which the divisional round, I'm following my heart a little bit on that, but more on those as we get through it. I would like first to recap a little bit from each game over Super Wildcard Weekend. Which, wow, what a moniker the NFL put out on that. They have TM'd, trademarked the term Super Wildcard Weekend. I owe them $1 every time I say it, but I can't not say it because it's so catchy. It's such a good name. And it's 3 days of playoff football. That never used to happen. And I can't wait until they put a 8th seed. And the next thing you know, we're having Thursday night playoff games, Saturday playoff games, Sunday, Monday. It's going to be great. NFL football 7 days a week sounds wonderful to me, but not everyone agrees. So first, looking back at Saturday, January 14th, the 4:15 p.m. game, Seattle Seahawks traveled to the San Francisco 49ers and got dog walked. I mean, oh my God. It looked good early. It looked great early for the Seahawks. They were coming down the field. They were, ripping and tearing, and they were finding the gaps in the San Francisco armor. They were getting through it. And yet, the second half, they came out and just laid an egg. I mean, literally, and that's not a bird joke, even though they're a bird team. They literally just laid an egg. They couldn't get any offense going. They couldn't stop San Francisco from doing anything they wanted. And I struggle to put it on a single player on the Seahawks because, frankly, nobody thought they were going to be in the playoffs at all. I mean, for goodness sakes, after the Russell Wilson trade last offseason, Russell Wilson going to the Broncos and the Seahawks not picking up another quarterback, just going with their backup Geno Smith, everybody, you could have asked any football guy, and he would have been like, yeah, the Seahawks are dead, man. They're dead on arrival. They ain't going to do well. If anything, the Broncos got the better half of that trade, or they had to give up some draft picks, whatever. Obviously, hindsight being what it is, we can say the Seahawks are still in it. They're still a contender. They made it to the playoffs, granted in the 7th seed, and they needed a little bit of help, but they got it when they needed it, and they got it done. Unfortunately, they were one and done in the playoffs. They come in to the wild card, and the 49ers show them the door and say, thanks for stopping by, kid. But again, great effort by Seattle, especially in the first half. Second half needed a lot of improvement, and I struggle to put it on one single player or even coach because there's not a whole lot you can do about this 49ers team. So speaking of the 49ers, Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, their current quarterback. Mr. Irrelevant means he was picked last in the draft last year. Literally the last pick, just the guy who's like, the guy who everyone looks at and goes, yeah, okay, yeah, you come here. We'll take you, I guess. So both starting quarterback, backup quarterback hurt. Brock Purdy, third string, activated from practice squad, comes in, leads the San Francisco 49ers in the latter half of the season. Not half, but in a couple of the late games to get them where they are in the 2nd seed. The kid's been amazing. 49ers offense, Coach Mike Shanahan plus Brock Purdy equals winning football. And it's never been more clear than on Saturday. This kid went off 332 total yards. That's running and passing. 3 touchdowns. Pretty sure one of them was a rushing touchdown for him. No interceptions. He looks good. He looks comfortable. And that makes the 49ers dangerous. It makes the 49ers dangerous. Coach Shanahan makes the 49ers dangerous because he can plug and play anybody in that offense, almost anybody in that offense, and they're gonna do well. Deebo Samuel was out there catching everything his way. Anything within 5 yards of Deebo Samuel, he was grabbing it. George Kittle obviously is a monster of a tight end. The running back by committee, especially led by Christian McCaffrey. I mean, the guys just went crazy. And then Seattle, again, they held on tight in the first half. I think they even had the lead at one point, and it was like 17-16 Seattle going into halftime, I'm pretty sure. And that was it. I don't think they scored again the rest of the game, but the 49ers came back and just ran. They imposed their will on Seattle. And I wish, I can't wait to see what Seattle becomes next year. I can't wait, honestly, because if they're doing this well with a backup quarterback, who he might be their future starter, judging by how well he went. But they got to make some defensive changes. They probably need a little bit of upgrade at running back. Not that their current running backs is very bad, but maybe that's more of an offensive line thing. But I'll be excited to see who Seattle is next year. 49ers, I think so. They're the 2 seed, right, in the NFC. Meaning there was one team better than them. That was the Eagles, but that's by standings, right? That's by the record and standings and win-losses and all that stuff. So my question to myself, it would be to Zach if he was sitting here, are the 49ers the true favorites for the NFC representative going into the Super Bowl? So the Super Bowl is AFC versus NFC. 49ers look like the true favorites to go to the Super Bowl. Now, we haven't seen the Eagles play. I'm very much looking forward to that game. Jalen Hurts is healthy, their starting quarterback. He wasn't healthy the last 2 weeks of the season, mostly because they wanted to make sure that he was healthy for the playoffs because they knew they were going to be in the playoffs. So, but as of right now, 49ers look like the true NFC Super Bowl favorites. They really do. They're a complete team with a smart coach who understands what his players' capabilities are and utilizes them to the best of his ability every down, every play. Coach Shanahan, at least on offense. Defense, I don't know how much say Coach Shanahan really has, but defensively, they were just as dominant against Seahawks. Couldn't do pretty much anything. Pretty much couldn't do anything against them. That was probably the most dominant game of the weekend. I would have to say. It was. So yeah, that was the 4:15 game on Saturday, June 15th. Also on Saturday, June 14th, at 8:15 p.m. The second game, Chargers traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Jacksonville. Wow, what a game this was. If you were watching this game like I was on Saturday night, and I really wasn't watching it because, halftime, it was 27-7 Los Angeles. That's what we call a dominant score. That's a 20-point lead going into the half. And now, of course, in this year of the NFL, it's 2022-23 season, we have seen larger comebacks. Everyone remember the Vikings going down 33-0 to the Colts at halftime and then coming all the way back to winning 39-36. Wahoo, great. This is the playoffs, though. You don't just get to come back next week and go, oh, we almost had it. This is win or go home. So the Chargers go up fast and they go up early. Justin Herbert slinging the ball. Austin Eckler imposing his will on that defensive line. Nothing the Jaguars could do could stop the Chargers. Didn't help Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for the Jaguars, throws 4 interceptions on 5 possessions. Obviously, they got 1 touchdown in there, but on at least 5 possessions, I think 5 or 6, he threw 4 interceptions. That does not make a winning team. That does not a football win make. And yet, if you kept watching this game after halftime, you would also know that the Jaguars pull off the 3rd largest comeback in playoff history in the NFL, 27 points. They come all the way back to win it 31-30. It's insane. It's not that insane because, the fun saying every given Sunday, any given Saturday, I say it all the time because I try not to count out anybody before it's too late. But it's in playoff football, you think like, okay, you're off to a really bad start. You have halftime, that 15, 20-minute halftime period to really make any adjustments, get back out there and play to win. The Chargers simply imploded on themselves. They were making mistakes. They were, it almost feels like the Chargers thought they already won the game at halftime. They went into the locker room. They're feeling good about themselves. Hey, we just did 30 minutes of whatever we wanted to the Jacksonville Jaguars. A division leader, by the way. They won the AFC South. Many people, they beat out the Titans. Titans aren't in the playoffs because of the Jaguars. It's like a Cinderella story. They're not, again, another team that's not supposed to be in the playoffs, much like Seattle. But you know what? You know what Jacksonville did at halftime? They went in there and they said, screw those guys. Screw the Chargers and everything else. Oh, hey, Zach's here. Hey, welcome to the show, pal. I was just going off on the Chargers.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the Jacksonville Jaguars had big screw you energy to the Chargers at halftime. as Zach gets settled here, I'm going to ramble a little bit. Just to kind of catch him up on what's going on. And unfortunately, Zach, I didn't set up the camera properly, so.
Oh no! I'm not dressed for the. I'm dressed for radio. That's for sure.
That's okay. Well, as long as people can stand looking at me for 10 minutes, a little bit, then it'll be fine. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. So, you actually didn't miss too much. I only really got through who was still in, who was eliminated. And then our picks, how our picks shaked out.
Oh, you already talked about my picks?
Yeah, how I'm beating you.
Unbelievable. I put money on that game. I put money on the Tampa Bay. I thought for sure Tom wasn't going to do it. But I'll let you go.
Well, and so I was just now I already recapped Seahawks at 49ers. This 49ers just absolutely dog walked the Seahawks. Not really much to talk about there. But the Jaguars, they didn't give up at halftime. The Chargers thought they won at halftime. That is my opinion. They imploded on themselves. They came in and they said, yeah, we just did whatever we wanted to Jacksonville for 30 minutes. We can do it for 30 more, like whatever. I guarantee you they were already talking about resting Justin Herbert by the fourth quarter. Guarantee that's already what they were talking about. They got cocky. They got played, though, because Jacksonville came out with the big screw you energy and said, no, we will not go quietly into this. Good night, sir. And they came out and pulled off the third largest comeback in NFL playoff history.
Is that so? Doug Peterson, is he the coach of the year?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe the Giants. The Giants head coach. I think
Giants head coach is a close second, I think. But I think remember where they were last year with Urban Meyer.
Right.
Urban Meyer's out there, touching co-eds in his bar, not flying home with the team, kicking his kicker, just a really messed up dude.
Not knowing who was it? I remember he didn't know who Sue was, the God Day Sue or whatever.
Yeah. Oh,
no, he didn't know. Shoot,
not Indomitian.
The guy from the Rams, the pit guy.
Oh, Donald. Aaron Donald.
Didn't know Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Just saying racist and stupid stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So I think taking that environment, right? You come in, you're Doug Peterson, quarterback guru, by all means. This is a guy who made Nick Foles win a Super Bowl, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Come in, take over, and now you're in the playoffs. Not only are you in the playoffs, you're a division leader. You're the fourth seed. You get a home game. You had a home game in the playoffs in 1 year difference. The most improved team by far, and it's all thanks to Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson.
And you know what, though? The talent finally got to show who they were. And the talent being Trevor Lawrence finally gets to come into his own a little bit more. And also their running back, and it's something. Iano or something.
Just the slick guy is how I refer to him.
Yeah, the slick guy. He is an awesome running back. That dude is all over the place. So big. You know what? On paper, this is an upset. This is an upset on paper because nobody thought the Jaguars were going to win this game.
You have to give us a little bit of credit because I think when we talked about it last week, we made that Chargers just find a way to lose.
Yeah, they do.
I remember back, this is going to age me a little bit, but I was stationed in, Camp Pendleton, California, which is about 40 minutes, drive time. North of San Diego. So it was a big San Diego town. And this was, when they had Phillip Rivers and LT and they were really, they were on top of the AFC, seeding every year. They still had the same problem the Steelers had, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady,
right?
But they were always at the top of it and they would just find ways to lose. I'll never forget this stat. And I love this. I forget what season it was. The Chargers led the league in offensive yards. They had the number one offense and the number one defense, and they still didn't make the playoffs. That's just who the Chargers are. They're the Browns of the West Coast.
They really are. And what's funny? They would win the AFC West more often than not. Before the Chiefs became the Chiefs we know today, It was the Chargers, man.
Right.
It was the Chargers, maybe the Raiders, maybe.
And the Raiders were bad for a long time. They're still bad, but and I feel like Denver would fight a little bit.
Denver was
the
top.
run game, but it was you're 100% right. San Diego, and then Phillip Rivers, and there wasn't really much quarterback searching for them. They went from Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert, who, there was conversation last year and towards the end of this year, top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
And they have it. They always seem to have the pieces, these great players that just can't produce when it comes to it.
No, and it's unfortunate. And you know what, though? It's, you know, the NFL is a constant is a constant ebb and flow, right? So Chargers are probably on that like middle upswing right now. So they're not at their peak where they're going to start coming down anytime soon. They're still in the middle of that upswing where they're getting the players, they're getting the coaches. Like the coaching's good, the players are good. We just need like maybe one or two more pieces. But the best thing in the world was, you know, the MVP of that game was in the Chargers-Jacksonville game was Bosa's helmet, because he spiked that thing so hard. I mean, and then a trainer comes and picks it up and is like, oh, yeah, I got it. And he hands it back to him and he goes, oh, thanks. And then he whips it into the sideline, just almost took a guy out, like almost killed a water boy. Throwing his helmet around. And that right there told me, okay, Chargers are going to lose this game because they're blaming the referees for bad calls. They're frustrated that the Jacksonville Jaguars are still in this game, right? They were. That's what makes me think these guys think they won at halftime. They did it for 30 minutes and they thought that's good enough. That's his reaction tells me that the mentality of that locker room was, we got this.
You know, maybe it's just me, and maybe, you know, this is the recency bias in me, but doesn't that seem to happen a lot this season, where teams would jump out to a big first lead half, and then the other team would either come up real close or upset? I feel like that happened to the Browns a lot. I feel like that happened to the Ravens a lot. The Steelers all their games were super close, so that never happened to them.
Yeah.
But it seemed like that's been like a trending way this league.
Well, the Vikings have been the biggest recipient of that.
You know, and that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah, we'll get to the Vikings game in a minute here, but I mean, yeah, like the largest comeback in NFL history was perpetrated by the Vikings, a 33-0 deficit, come all the way back to win 39-36. I'm of the opinion, though, you should never be in that position, though. If you are a good football team, you're not down 33-0 at halftime. You're not down 27-0 at halftime. Jacksonville, of course, I just sung their praises a whole bunch. I'm not going to say that they're not a good football team, but a really good football team is never in that position.
I think what we learned from this trend is that if you are down, right, you don't have to deviate from your game plan.
Right.
If you are, you know, if you can make a few adjustments at half, but you can stick to your game plan and what you're good at, because too often, often enough, and I remember this was big with Ben, right? So in the first half, Steelers would try something. In the second half, they would throw the ball, 40, 50 times. And I think the Steelers had to do that against the Jets, where one of the teams where Kenny Pickett had to throw, a rookie had to throw it 40 times.
Yes.
But
it was the Jets.
I think what these teams need to take away from this season is that if you are down, you don't give up. Obviously, you're paid professionals, but you don't have to switch everything up and make you uncomfortable. Stick with what you know and grind out with what you do, because Jacksonville's really good at running the ball, and they have a killer defensive line.
Yes.
And that's just what they need to stop. And same thing with offense. I mean, hopefully, I think my prediction, can I make a prediction for next season?
Please.
I think what we're going to see is, I think because coaches are smart, right? If these guys are top 32 or top 24 in their position, where guys aren't going to let off the gas pedal in the second half. I think we're going to see a bigger score differentiate. I think what happens, a lot of these teams are up big, they kind of switch. I think you're going to see that Bill Belichick. Remember, he would never take his foot off the gas.
Right. And everyone always accused him too. They always accuse him, like, Bill, that's not sportsmanlike. He goes, I don't give a damn.
Right.
Like, I don't give a damn. I'm here to win football games. And if I let off the gas, they could come all the way back and win.
One of the reasons he's the greatest coach of all time.
I mean, look at the college football playoffs. 65-7 was Georgia over TCU. They didn't let off the gas a second. Like they could have at 52-7. They could have just been like, you know what? Hey, if you're a red shirt, get out there. Like just send in the water boy. They didn't, and that's why they are such a dominant win. And yeah, I think you're right though. I think next season we're going to see a lot more heavy lead foots on offense, because now it's like, again, you want to stay sportsmanlike, right? Whatever sportsmanlike means when you're running up a score, you're grown men. Okay. If you lose 50-0, you deserve it. All right. That's just, I don't know why you're complaining about it not being fair. This is the NFL. This isn't Pee Wee football. If I'm 7 years old and the other team is putting up 50 points on us, yeah, okay, that's a little messed up. We're 6, But yeah, I think your prediction is going to be correct.
And so the big thing. So I did not watch that game. I didn't have any money on it, so I didn't watch it. But I did hear a lot of chatter, and I heard complaints about the refs.
Mm-hmm.
Was that now every fan base? When we talked about this before.
Yeah.
In your expert opinion, did you see anything about the refs? Was there anything?
So there was definitely some questionable calls, right? But it was a lot of bang bang plays. I mean, it was a very much. Ooh, I think I saw something, so I'm going to throw the flag. But I heard something from another podcast that I listened to called "Go My Favorite Sports Team." It's actually very interesting.
Sure.
The guy talking on it, he has a master's degree in like sports marketing and stuff like that. So he's thinks he knows all that. But he was saying, he's like, look, if your entire game, right, if the entire game comes down to one bad call, you screwed up way before that. Like if you are losing this game and you're blaming the referees for losing the game, you made many more mistakes before that.
Sure.
You put yourself in this scenario to even let that be a factor. If the Chargers stay on the gas pedal and let's say it's 34-20 in the fourth quarter rather than, whatever it was, and they get that bad call, I can't remember what it was, like a holding or a interference call or something. If the margin is wide enough, that call doesn't matter. Like, yeah, it sucks. Right? Like, oh, dang, your ref's got another bad one. But if you are blaming that as deciding the entire game, you screwed up well before that call was ever made. And the Chargers did. They imploded. They thought they won. They let Jacksonville hang around. And then it comes down to a bad call. And now everyone's going to be upset. So, no, I don't really blame the officials. I get where the players are coming from sometimes where it's like, that's bogus and you all know it. Yeah, okay, but referees are human too. I don't always like them, but they're human beings.
In this offseason, I do want to go on a deep dive because I think that stuff is fascinating, the referees, because I don't think people realize, and from my very limited research thus far, there are things that the NFL can do to implement to make refereeing a little more, we'll say, sustainable, a little more, I'm not going to say fair, but a little less. The errors will not be as erroneous, and there are things that the NFL can do, but of course it will cost them money.
Yeah. So, hey, let's move on to Dolphins at Bills Sunday, January 15th at 1 p.m. This game aired. Dolphins and this is the game I labeled the dog fight.
Yeah,
I mean this was a DAWG fight, dog fight, dude. They could have brought it like their game plan was solid. Their third string quarterback, what was his name?
Skylar
Thompson was out there slinging it against a Bills defense that not a lot of people can go against and be successful. And he did for a large portion of that game. Now, early it didn't look great.
Yeah.
Bills jumped out to 17-0.
Yep.
Didn't look good. And then Josh Allen makes a mistake. He throws an interception heading towards the red zone. I think they were on like the Dolphins 35, and he throws an interception like at the goal line, and the Dolphins catch it, bring it back a good way. Then Josh Allen starts a fight with a lineman. That lineman gets assaulted by the Bills lineman. They call personal fouls on everybody, but no one gets ejected because no fists were actually thrown. They just tackled the guy to the ground or whatever. Funny enough, Josh Allen starts the fight, waits for his lineman to show up to back him up, and then he walks away from the whole thing. He's like, I'm not getting involved with that. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I get kind of where he's coming from because the lineman pushed him, but like that lineman was doing his job, which is when your team intercepts it, you block whoever's in front of you. Well, hey, quarterback's in front of me. As far we've seen quarterbacks make tackles before. So I'm not going to let Josh Allen tackle my guy if he's going to make it this far. And then, of course, Josh Allen gets upset, pushes him back, blah, blah, blah. But that was a big turning point. That put a lot of momentum in Miami's corner. And pretty much since that moment, Miami brings it all the way back. Like, I think Another interception ensues. Brings it all the way back to 17-17, and then from there it was just touchdown, both back and forth. The Bills look good, but you let the Dolphins hang out too much with you. And if it were any other team, hell, if it was any other quarterback, like if they had their starter, Tua Tagovailoa, in there, I think the Dolphins win that game. Genuinely, I think they do. You can't let teams hang around as long as the Dolphins did. Now the Bills are going to play the Bengals, or the Bengals are coming to Buffalo to play the Bills. You cannot let a team like Cincinnati hang around like that, right? I mean, the Dolphins with their third string quarterback is one thing. You kind of let them stick around, whatever. You pull it off in the end. Bengals aren't going to give you that opportunity. They're not. If you let the Bengals hang around, they will make you pay, and Bills can't afford that.
And that is the game that I do. That is going to be my upset pick, but I'm going to get into why that is. But yeah, no, I agree with that. I think they just depend too much on that quarterback, man, and almost to the point. But he does run, but almost to the point where they are just essentially one-dimensional, and
they came out slinging the ball, and I was like, really, you're not going to run the ball?
They just haven't done it that all that well this season. I mean, Josh Allen's having a great year, and he can run the ball. I love watching him run, but that's gonna be a big part of my reason for my pick.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think the Bills will let the Bengals hang around, but the fact that you let the Dolphins hang around that long, with a third string quarterback. I mean, Jalen Waddle, their star receiver other than Tyreek Hill, had 0 yards through the air until the fourth quarter. Then he had 7. He only caught 1 pass for 7 yards. He had a jet sweep that he took down to the 1 yard line from like the 25. So he had like 24 rushing yards or whatever, but he was a non-factor. But Tyreek Hill, their tight end Mike Gesicki, and just Skylar Thompson himself, and their running back Rashard Mendenhall. No, not Rashard Mendenhall.
Rashad Spinenfall.
No, Mostert.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert. That's what I meant. Really carried him through it. So, good job, Bills. You're still my AFC representative pick. Hell, you might even be my Super Bowl favorites, but it's time to get it together. It's time to not let teams hang around on you. So next is the Sunday, January 15th, 4:30 game. Giants travel to Minnesota. First note right here. The Vikings are who we thought they were. Can't perform in prime time.
And I thought I got a little vindication out of this game because my initial prediction was Green Bay was going to beat the Vikings in the first round of the playoffs. And I guess the Giants just took over the Packers. But a different G, right? I thought it would be good. I didn't see the Vikings going past the first round. Kirk Cousins not the guy.
Look, 11-0. So the Vikings are 11-0 in one-score games in the regular season, which is a great stat.
Not sustainable.
You cannot rely on that stat to get you out of tough situations. Yep. And they did. They relied on it the entire season. I'm like, guys, and I was a big Vikings favorite for a while. Like I thought, okay, hey, these Vikings are for real this year. Yeah, there's some close games, but they'll be okay. The Colts game is what changed it for me.
Sure. The
Colts game down 33-0 at halftime to the Colts. This isn't the Packers. This wasn't the Giants. This wasn't the Eagles, the 49ers. This was the lowly Indianapolis Colts of 2023. Like they were not good. And I said good football teams don't find themselves in that situation. And you're celebrating you won. Great. You win. You don't deserve to win if you're down like that. I don't think, at least. Not at this level, right? It'd be different if it was the 49ers, though. It'd be different if it was the Eagles. It'd be different if it was literally any other playoff team. This was a team with 3 wins, 12 losses, and a tie. Like, they're not good.
Right.
So, no.
Right.
Yeah. So, no. I did not see the Vikings moving on. I'm hoping the Giants are my NFC representative, but my brain tells me it's going to be the 49ers. But more on that later. The Giants just look good. They came to play. They came to win. Danny Dimes dropping them all over the place. I mean, that kid was awesome.
And we talk about this all the time. The playoff football is here, and what distinguishes, and I think it's been a little bit skewed because of I think the way the teams, the Rams and the Chiefs have kind of obviously have been very successful, but when again, when we look back at the history of the NFL, of the championship teams in the playoffs, you need a good run game and a strong defense. It gets cold outside, and that's what you need. And Giants have that. I mean, other than I'd say the 49ers, they have that formula for winning NFL playoff games. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this postseason.
Yeah.
I think they already have.
Yeah. This was one of those ones that on paper is an upset, right?
Sure.
But if you actually look at the level of play and the level of victories throughout the year, I don't think it's that big of an upset. I think this was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. Easy money. I bet the money line. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Again, on paper, Vikings home team, Vikings, Justin Jefferson, Kirk, whatever. Doesn't matter. They showed a graphic during the game, and that was the point differential for the Vikings. In the first 3 quarters was minus 83. So meaning in the first 3 quarters, they are outscored by opponents 83 points. In the fourth quarter and overtime, the point differential is a positive 84.
Yeah.
That comes out to 1.
Yeah.
1 point they're winning these games by on average. And it all happens in the fourth quarter. Giants never gave them a chance in the fourth quarter. I do want to point out one play in the fourth quarter by the Vikings that just solidified my whole opinion of the Vikings aren't a very good football team. And it was 4th and 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last play of the game. It's 4th and 8. You need 9 yards, at least 8 yards, but you want 9 yards to get a little bit closer. You're down. They were only down by a touchdown. And Kirk Cousins checks it down to T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end, 3 yards downfield. 3. T.J. Hawkinson is not known for juking people out or spin moving or anything. He caught it with a defender literally on his back. Dude had no chance to break the tackle and go upfield. And that was it. That was the last play of the game. Giants took over, and they knelt it. It was game over with like a minute left or something. So, yeah, Vikings need to reestablish. They need to do a lot of things in the offseason. I don't know that a quarterback is one of them because Kirk Cousins isn't all that bad. But we're entering, year 4, year 5 of primetime Kirk Cousins not being able to perform. This is, and every playoff game's a primetime game. So if it wasn't this week, it would have been next week, for sure. Oh man, so
for sure, yeah. I mean, and they weren't going to get, I think that was.
It's not their year.
What seed were the Vikings? Were they 3rd?
They were the
3rd seed. Yep.
Yep, 3rd seed. 3rd seed. So speaking of 3rd seeds, let's see the Sunday night game, 8:15. Ravens travel to Cincinnati.
This was my moneymaker.
Yes,
this was my. Bengals Ravens were 8-point underdogs.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? It's still a division game. These
teams
still hate each other.
Huge
You still have John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Huge rivalry. I have something to say about John Harbaugh after this, but my initial reaction: Bengals just seemed to let Baltimore beat themselves.
Yeah.
They really did. I mean, it was a game. It was a fight. That's for sure. It was a 7-point game. It was very close. Baltimore, too many mistakes.
Yeah.
Too many mistakes. And people are going to be upset that Lamar didn't want to play. He had a sprained PCL in his knee. For the type of quarterback he is, though, that's the safe call. That's the smart call because this young
100%.
Man's thinking about the rest of his career, not the rest of the season.
Right. And do you want RG3?
Right.
Do you
remember what happened to RG3?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Forces himself to come back too early. Doesn't have a career.
Yeah.
Doesn't misses out millions and millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. So Michael Vick tweeted, and of course Michael Vick should be everyone's moral compass, right?
Sure.
Yeah. No, that's a lie. Don't ever listen to Michael Vick. But he says, "Oh, put a brace on it." Well, then RG3 tweets out the photo of his injury and says, "This is what happens when you quote put a brace on it, and don't take your well-being seriously." So applauds to Lamar. Everyone's and I say everyone, the Baltimore fans are going to be salty and they're going to be like, "We would have won with Lamar." Yeah, but Do you want him next year? Well, we don't even know. He's still waiting on a contract. But if you want him next year, you probably want him to have a knee. So, yeah, it was the smart call. But Tyler Huntley's a good quarterback. I mean, hell, he beat the Steelers almost twice.
Yep. He does. Yeah, I mean, he's just a poor man's Lamar. I mean, he runs the ball well, but that, oh my God, when he fumbled the ball.
Oh yeah, he thought he got over the goal line, dude. He was a whole yard and a half away.
That is the turning point of the game. It's Bengals are going to win. That's a 14-point swing,
and that beats James Harrison's record for longest fumble recovery scooped up for a touchdown in NFL playoff history.
Yeah.
Harrison was 97 in the Super Bowl. Now, Harrison probably still holds a Super Bowl record. Yeah. But as far as postseason history, that 98 return goes to the Bengals. There was a slight block in the back.
I wonder who would win in a race.
James Harrison.
Or that other guy was booking it, though.
He was booking it. I think he would honestly win. James Harrison was an upper.
And that guy, who was that guy? Oh, man. I love watching him play. Big white dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, big dude, and he's been causing the Steelers for Sam Hubbard.
Sam Hubbard. I knew it was Hubbard.
He's one of those underappreciated. He is, a Cameron. I mean, he's not nearly as good as Cameron Hayward, but and when they had him step onto it, he's just one of those good interior. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see those type of players be recognized on a national stage for the type of. Because those are the guys that make your team. Those guys on those interior that, those just getting their head bashes every play.
They're in the trenches, literally.
I love seeing that. I love seeing the grinders get their due.
Yes. So yeah, they're, of course, Ravens fans also, along with complain about a small block in the back on Mark Andrews. Again, if you're going to blame the referees, you screwed up long before it. Hence, your quarterback fumbling at the goal line. Like, they were like, oh, that was a block in the back. It was a block in the back. I mean, was it?
Still fumbled the ball.
Yeah, you still fumbled the ball. Okay, so it was a block in the back. So what? They have it on the 35 rather than scoring. It at least gave you the ball back. So here's my thing about John Harbaugh. Why was he acting like such an amateur in this game? Seriously, he made the most amateur decisions I think I've ever seen him make. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. He had 2 timeouts remaining in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Ravens are driving down the field. They're on the Bengals' 46-yard line with 3 minutes and 14 seconds left. So you really have 3 timeouts with a 2-minute warning, plus any plays you can get out of bounds. Let's see. So they're driving, and they managed to get down to the Bengals' 17-yard line with just a little over a minute left. They haven't called the timeout. Like, they had the 2-minute warning, and then they just kind of let the clock tick. And then they're taking their time. The Bengals are not the Ravens are not in a rush to line up on the 17. They're like moseying around. They're doing substitutions. All the while, the clock's ticking. When asked about it after the game, they're like, hey, John, what the heck, dude? He's like, oh, we wanted to save those timeouts for the red zone. Brother, you were in the red zone when you crossed the 25. Like, you should be treating that as the red zone. This is life or death, basically. You're in playoff football. It makes no sense for me. For an experienced coach like him who's given the AFC North so much headache, it's just wildly amateurish for him to not understand basic clock management. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I would have called timeout at this exact time, but I wouldn't. At least when my team is moseying around for like 33 seconds, substituting and kind of, okay, we'll walk up to the ball, call them plays, like whatever. Like, yeah, I would call timeout then and go, guys, what are you doing? We got to go, because we score a touchdown, we tie the game. We want the ball back so we can at least try and kick a field goal and win. But so that's my problem with John Harbaugh now is apparently he's an amateur.
And a lot, not a lot, but there's coaching staffs on there. The Steelers don't have one, but they have time management coaches or I forget what they're called, time management coordinators or whatever, specialists. And the Ravens don't have one. These smaller market teams seem not to have them, but it's such an integral part of the game. And the timing, and it's you got a lot of going on. You got a lot of considering. Having somebody saying, "Hey, statistically, mathematically, this is what you want to do. Hey, this is what this is what your strengths." Whose only job is to figure out the. I mean, the Rams, they have a coach that is only designed, his only reason for life, his career path, is to move Sean McVay from off the field.
Yes,
he just grabs
coach.
him.
You got to stand over here.
Yep, and that's all. It's almost like a ballet dance that they do.
Yeah.
If LA can afford that, these teams should really consider time management coordinator specialist or whatever they're called.
I just think that's like, if you're going to be a head coach, you need time management skills.
Sure.
Right? Like, that's the first thing anyone's going to grill you on is like, dude, you don't know how to manage a clock. There's no game management here. You just are, calling plays? You expect who? Your quarterback, your offensive coordinator to know these things? Like,
right.
No, bro. You, as a head coach, yeah, you have a lot going on. Part of it, this is why NFL head coaches are in at least the top 25 best head coaches in the world, because they can look at a game, wide. They can see the time. They know the defense, the blah, 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 blah. A lot of things going on. So I don't know. Maybe it was a lapse in judgment. Maybe he was still upset from his sideline interview. Did you see that? He's getting all salty with the sideline reporter. Whatever. Harbaugh's are a bunch of baby. I'm excited to see where his brother's going to go, though.
He's going to stay in Michigan.
Is he going to stay in Michigan?
Yeah, he officially announced.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he called Denver and said, "Hey, I'm going to turn the team down."
Oh, man, Denver.
Why would you leave? I mean, you're
right.
You're
I mean, I can't even say bigger contract because Michigan was paying him pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, final game of Super Wildcard Weekend. Cowboys.
Hated this game.
Yeah, Cowboys travel to the Buccaneers. I love this game because I don't have to watch Tom Brady in the playoffs anymore. I'm a hater. Call me a hater. I don't care.
Sure. I just bet money on the Buc. I just couldn't count Tom Brady out.
Well, and you know what, though? I've been doing it for years. I've been counting Tom Brady out for years, and he always proves me wrong. I said, you know what? No, he's out. He is out. I don't care. And by George, he's out.
Brady just always finds ways to disappoint me.
Yes.
No matter what side of the ball.
You need to bet on him more often so I can win.
Well, he's done, and yeah.
Well, he may not be, but okay. So
done with the Tampa Bay.
Let's pretend if you're Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what a waste of Tom Brady's final year with your organization, right? Like that was a poor showing.
But I think you kind of know, like, when you go all in on a player like that, you're like the Rams did very successfully, and the Bucs did with Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Are you that mad though? You got your Super Bowl win. I think there's a level of expectation. Bruce Arians left, or took a different job or whatever. You switch things around.
Yeah,
I think you, as a fan base, you're happy. Like, hey, we had
your
Super
success.
Bowl.
Yeah, you did. But so again, I'm a Tom Brady hater.
Sure.
But he's probably still top 2 quarterback of all time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And again, that same podcast I was listening to was saying, like, it's hard to call him the greatest football player of all time because it's such a team sport.
Sure.
He obviously can't do it all, but he is absolutely probably one of the best of all time, the best quarterbacks of all time,
absolutely.
If not the best, right? At least as far as wins go.
Yeah.
So it just didn't look good. It's not a good look to go out on. Yeah. Especially, like, whether he retires or not, it's fine. He's probably done with the Bucs.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not a good year. Like, if I'm a Bucs fan, it's like, yeah, I got my win and I'm happy. But man, that didn't look good. It kind of looked like everyone just kind of gave up. Like, we did it. Let's go home, And, that's obviously not true because everyone who knows Tom Brady knows he's the most competitive human being in the world. He's still playing at 45 years old. You need that competitive gene to do it. So, yeah, he might come back another year for redemption. I mean, he's got teams still looking at him, and Bucs are one of them. They might ask him to come back and see where he's at. The Bucs, the Titans, the Raiders, and 49ers have all explicitly expressed interest in Tom. Raiders would be interesting. Raiders would be very interesting.
That's where he's going.
I'm going to go San Francisco because he's always wanted to play.
And that would probably be my second one.
In the Bay.
Like that. We'll see, how do you turn away your quarterback after, if you win a Super Bowl, right? Or you make it, like, how do you?
Yeah, I know. Like 49ers, like, I'm more interested to see what the 49ers are going to do with Brock Purdy. Like, Mr. Irrelevant, who replaced their top two quarterbacks, Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, takes them all the way to a Super Bowl. Is he going to get Nick Foles, where he's just going to be like, all right, Nick, thanks for all your help. Thanks for getting us to a Super Bowl or winning one. Here's your seat on the bench. Like, back to where you belong, I guess. Like, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. But
Jimmy G to the Jets, Brady to the Raiders.
Ooh, that would be fun. Jimmy G to the Jets would be fun. That would be fun. So the game itself, I mean, there's really not much to talk about. Cowboys just absolutely beat down the Buccaneers. It just wasn't a good show.
It wasn't fun to watch.
It wasn't fun to watch.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't competitive.
And the Cowboys, it's not like the Cowboys were perfect either. Their kicker missed 4 extra points in a row. 4.
Set a record.
You are cut, young man. You are out. Brett Meyer, you are gone. You're dead.
He was the most successful. He was one of the best kickers in the league this year, right?
Yeah.
I think I had him on my fantasy. Yeah, he was killing it.
Yeah, then he misses. He goes 1 for 5 on extra points. He gets 1 extra point out of 5. Ridiculous. So, yeah, not a whole lot to talk about in that game, unfortunately. Other than hey, your kicker sucks, and Jerry Jones is going to cut you probably. Like, well, see ya. Learn to kick better. So, just want to quickly run down this divisional round weekend we have coming up. So Saturday, 4:30 p.m., January 21st. Jacksonville travels to Kansas City. Number 1 seed has entered the chat, ready to play. Looking forward to it. I hope it's a fight. I really do. I don't think Jacksonville's going to pull this one out, but I hope they make it hard. I hope they make it tough for them.
Andy Reid is what, like a 11-0 or 11-1 or 12-1 after the bye.
Yeah.
Chiefs had a bye. Yeah. Chiefs look like the best complete team.
There's a whole song dedicated to Andy Reid off the bye, and that's literally the whole. It's Andy Reid off the bye, Andy Reid off the bye. I mean, you can
sounds like a catchy tune.
That's all it is they just march into the stadium chanting Andy Reid off the bye, and they're gonna win. It's hard to say otherwise, but I want it to be a fight. I want Jacksonville to go out like clawing and fighting, spitting, just
I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. That's going to be my pick.
I'm taking the Chiefs, not going to the Super Bowl. I'm taking the Chiefs here. All right. January 21st, 8:30 p.m., late game. Giants travel to Philadelphia. Both number 1 seeds playing on Saturday. Both number 1 seeds could be eliminated on Saturday. Who knows? But I think here I have the Eagles winning, and it's only because Jalen Hurts is healthy.
And I mean, on paper, on everything, they're the better team.
Yeah.
However, I have a hard time thinking since they switched over last season to just a 1 seed having the bye. I just think the Eagles, a 1 seed is going to fall quickly. I think that is the Eagles. I think they are not used to the postseason type of this unit. This particular team isn't versed in that. I think the Giants come off. They carry that momentum in. I just like the Giants makeup, man. They're a feisty team.
Yeah. Well, you got to think it's first-year head coach in Nick Sirianni. Great head coach, right? All he wants to do is watch film and compete. Like, that's all he wants to do. But other than that, I mean, at least that comes to my mind on their offense. The only real playoff experience is with A.J. Brown from his time in the Titans. And that's it. Jalen Hurts wasn't around when the Eagles made the Super Bowl. Well, was he? No, he wasn't on the team yet. I don't think. Well, maybe a few linemen. I know Kelsey was on the offensive line when they won, but does that matter? I mean, like, it matters, but he's not a playmaker. You know what I mean? He's not a receiver, a quarterback, or a running back. So
yeah, I think if you play the game 9 out of 10, if you play the game 10 times, 9 times the Eagles win. I just think this Saturday it's going to be the Giants.
All right. I'd be interested. So yeah, I picked the Eagles. You picked the Giants. That's where we differ. Should be interesting though. At this point, I just want good football. I want playoff football.
And I think we're going to get it.
Yeah.
Division round. These guys hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is it.
This is big. All right. So that's it for Saturday. Only 2 games. Sunday, 3 p.m. Remember number 3. Bengals, 3 seed, going up against the Bills in Buffalo. I got the Bills. They're the team of destiny, man. I mean, they're playing the 3rd seed at 3 p.m. I mean, the whole number 3 for DeMar Hamlin, who is healthy and been in the building. Like, he's back with the Bills. I don't know if he's going to play maybe ever again. I don't know. But he's back with the building. He's healthy. Big morale boost. I'm giving it to the Bills just for that alone. Now, the caveat is, like I said earlier, if they let the Bengals hang around on them and keep it super close, they might cough it up.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Bills because my heart tells me the Bills are going to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals come into Buffalo and just blow the roof off the place.
Yeah, I mean, this one could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said before, the Bills just rely too much on Josh Allen. I think that the Bengals have one of those stingy bend don't break defenses. I think if they can get the Bills inside, manage the big plays and keep them in the red zone, I think the Bengals have the ability to limit the Bills' scoring opportunities. So it's going to be a super close game. It could go either way, just like you. I mean, I think in my heart I'm going to root for the Bills, but I just see the Bengals. I think the Bills have too much. They don't have a run game. They are the opposite of the Giants, where they rely too much on one player, and then, as I said before, one-dimensional. And I like the Bengals, and I like Joe Burrow. I do.
Yeah. So I was actually just thinking we can't even call this a rematch.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be, this was going to be a rematch, but it's not anymore.
And I think, a little bit with that, as I see you noted, a little bit of NFL conspiracy tinfoil hat. I don't think the NFL wants a AFC Championship game on a neutral field.
No.
So if I was a conspiracy theorist and I thought the NFL was rigged, I think they would put, a little bit of bug in the ear. Hey, let's make sure we get this.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to deal with,
finding a
stadium at the last minute or what. I'm sure it's already played.
I'm sure it is. And it's a dome, no matter where it is, because they need it to be true neutral, right? But don't worry, the NFL's not rigged. The amount of people they would have to pay off and the amount of money they would have to pay people off with, it's ridiculous.
I don't believe in that conspiracy theory. But
if I were
a little bit,
that's where my money would be.
I never trust multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Never. You should never. Nobody at home better. So, final game of the weekend, January 22nd, 6:30 p.m. Cowboys traveling to San Francisco. 49ers.
Easiest pick.
Yeah,
right?
49ers.
What are we even talking about?
Yeah, I'm not even going to say, man, I hope the Cowboys give it their all. I don't care about the Cowboys.
I want the Cowboys to lose. I hate the Cowboys.
I want the Cowboys to lose. I really just used the Cowboys last week to get Tom Brady out of the playoffs.
Sure.
Absolutely. I've used them. I'm done with them. Throw them away. I'm over it.
Absolutely.
I'm over it. I'm done with them. 49ers are the complete package. Cowboys can't even make an extra point.
Right.
All right. Well, yeah, that was again, a little bit of a unorthodox episode, but glad you could make it. I hope everything's
sorry
going
about that.
No, it's fine. You have actual work to do. This is just for funsies for now. But when we do turn this into a job, I'll need your full commitment. So
absolutely.
Yeah, of course. But we're looking forward to an awesome weekend of divisional football with teams that hate each other, at each other's throats. And I just can't wait. And then, before we know it, it's going to be season over and we're going to have to find something else to talk about.
Worst time of the year.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But all right, everyone. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We will see everybody next Wednesday back in the armchair.
Absolutely. See you guys.
Turn those all the way down. YouTube, Facebook, I'm looking at you. Don't you worry. I think I got it to work too.
Hell yeah.
So at least YouTube worked, which is all I'm. See ya.
Bye.
Oh, there we go.